Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going deep into the inner workings of the internet, getting granular with internet protocols.
You know them, you love them, TCP and UDP.
Right, TCP and UDP.
The unsung heroes of every, email you send, every video you stream.
Okay, wait, hold on. Unsung heroes?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
But honestly, those sound about as exciting as watching paint dry.
Yeah.
To me, anyway. Convince me, why should I care about internet protocols?
Because understanding these protocols
Yeah.
is like having a secret decoder ring for how the internet works.
Okay, I do love a good secret code.
Yeah, it's like you get to peek behind the curtain and see all the machinery that makes the magic happen.
All right, you've piqued my curiosity. I'm sold. Let's start with the basics.
Okay.
I've heard these acronyms, TCP, UDP, but to be honest, they all kind of blend together.
Sure.
What is TCP? What's the deal with that one?
So TCP stands for Transmission Control Protocol, and it's the reliable one. It's the meticulous mail courier of the internet. So imagine you're sending a really important package, like a first edition comic book or something. You'd want to make sure it arrives safely.
Absolutely. I would not trust just any delivery service with something that precious.
Exactly. TCP is all about that guaranteed delivery.
Yeah, okay.
It uses this thing called a three-way handshake to establish a connection before any data is even sent. It's kind of like confirming that the recipient is home before you drop off the package.
So it's not just chucking data packets into the void and hoping for the best?
No, not at all.
Okay.
It's much more choreographed than that. The sender sends a signal, the receiver confirms, the sender confirms the confirmation.
Wow.
And only then does the data transfer actually begin.
Okay, so that's the connection-oriented part.
Exactly.
It establishes that dedicated link first.
Exactly.
But what happens once the connection is made?
Yeah.
How does TCP make sure everything arrives in one piece and in the right order?
Okay, so imagine your comic book is sent in multiple boxes, right? And they're all numbered.
Right.
TCP is checking that every single box arrives and that it arrives in the correct order.
Nice.
And if even one box is missing, it requests a resend.
Wow. It's like TCP won't tolerate any missing pages.
Exactly. No missing pages on TCP's watch.
So it sounds like TCP is definitely what you want when accuracy is critical. Our source mentions online banking,
Oh, yes.
file transfers as good examples.
Absolutely.
When you're dealing with sensitive data, you don't want any surprises.
Exactly. You need that reliability.
And that's what TCP is all about.
That's what it's there for.
So TCP, reliable, organized, definitely want that handling your sensitive information. But what about UDP?
UDP.
Our source paints UDP as the rebellious speed demon sibling. What's the story there?
Yeah, TCP is like that meticulous mail courier.
Right.
UDP is more like sending a message in a bottle.
Okay.
You just toss it out there and hope for the best.
Hope for the
It's
best.
faster, it's more efficient, because it skips all those connection checks and confirmations.
So it's a bit more of a gamble then.
A little bit more of a gamble, yeah.
But I can see how speed would be crucial for some things.
Sure.
Our source mentions live streaming,
Yes.
online gaming as good examples for UDP.
Absolutely. When you're watching a live event, you'd much rather have a little bit of a blurry image for a second than a buffering delay.
Right. Makes sense.
Or imagine you're playing a really fast-paced online game.
Yeah.
Those milliseconds matter.
Yeah, for sure.
So UDP sacrifices a little bit of reliability for speed,
Okay.
which makes it perfect for those applications where a few dropped data packets here and there won't ruin the experience.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like choosing between a perfectly typed letter and a quick phone call.
Exactly.
Each has its pros and cons, but
For sure.
we've only scratched the surface here.
Yeah.
Our source also mentions these things called ports and protocols.
All right.
What are those all about? What are ports?
So think of your computer like a bustling city, okay?
Okay.
And each port is a unique address.
Right.
It's like a specific building with its own purpose.
Okay.
You wouldn't send a pizza delivery
Right.
to the same address as a library book, right?
Right.
So ports help organize how different applications communicate.
Okay, so different ports, different addresses.
Exactly.
Okay. And what about these protocols then? How do they fit in?
So protocols are like the language spoken at each of those addresses.
Okay.
They dictate how data is formatted and exchanged,
Right.
and they make sure that everyone involved can understand each other.
Okay.
It'd be like showing up to a business meeting,
Yeah.
speaking Klingon.
Right.
People would look at you a little funny.
Yeah, I don't think that would go over too well.
I don't think so, no.
So different ports, different protocols, all working together to keep the internet running smoothly.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. Our source actually lists a bunch of specific examples here. I'm going to dive into some of the more intriguing ones.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, this one sounds straight out of a spy thriller.
Oh, boy.
Port 22,
Okay.
SSH or secure shell.
Ooh, mysterious.
I like it. I'm intrigued. What's so special about this one?
Okay, so imagine you need to access your home computer
Mm-hmm.
while you're at a cafe
Okay,
using their public Wi-Fi.
right.
SSH creates this secure encrypted tunnel for that connection.
Ah.
So it protects your data from any prying eyes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like having your own little private digital pathway.
That's really impressive. No wonder our source was emphasizing its security aspect.
Yeah, very important.
Okay, this one caught my eye too. Port 53,
Okay,
described as the internet's phone book. That sounds important.
that's a good one. It is very important.
What's the deal with Port 53?
So Port 53 is all about DNS, the domain name system.
Okay.
And remember those really long numerical IP addresses?
Oh, yeah, I was going to say those are a mouthful.
Yeah, they're not easy to remember.
Not at all.
Imagine having to memorize those for every single website you visit.
Oh, man. I can barely remember my phone number.
Exactly. So DNS acts like a directory,
Mm-hmm.
and it translates those human-readable domain names,
Right.
like
Yeah.
thedeepdive.com, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
into those machine-friendly IP addresses.
So when I type in a website name,
Yeah.
DNS is working behind the scenes to connect me to the right server.
That's exactly what it's doing.
That's incredible. I didn't realize it was so simple, but also so important.
Yeah, it's one of those things we totally take for granted.
Yeah, for sure.
Without it, browsing the web would be incredibly tedious.
Yeah, for sure. You'd have to have like a notebook or something,
Exactly.
jotting down all those numbers.
You got it.
Crazy.
And what's interesting is DNS often uses both TCP and UDP,
Oh, really?
depending on the request.
A little bit of both.
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
Interesting. It's really fascinating to see how these protocols all work together.
It is. It's amazing.
Speaking of working together, our source also mentions port 80 and 443,
Okay.
which I always see popping up in my browser.
Right.
Those have got to be familiar, right?
They should. They should.
What's the story with those? Those ring a bell. That's HTTP and HTTPS, right? The stuff that shows up when I'm browsing the web.
You got it. Port 80 is the standard HTTP port,
Yeah.
handles the constant flow of web traffic. And port 443, that's its more secure sibling, HTTPS, which makes sure all your data is encrypted and protected.
So when I see that little padlock icon in my browser, it means HTTPS and port 443 are on the job keeping my online shopping spree safe.
Precisely. It's like having a digital bodyguard for your online transactions.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got these different ports, each with its own protocol and purpose. It's like a perfectly organized digital city. But this brings up a question for me. How do TCP and UDP know which address to use for each task? How do they decide which one gets the job?
That's where our connection choices come into play. It
Mhm.
really boils down to what each protocol is best at. Remember, UDP is all about speed.
Right.
So it's the go-to for things like DHCP, which assigns your device an IP address when you connect to a network.
Okay.
It's like a quick handshake that gets you online in a snap.
So when my phone connects to the Wi-Fi instantly and I can start browsing right away, that's UDP.
Exactly. Rapid fire communication.
Mm.
Now, when you need absolute reliability,
Right.
TCP is the only option.
Yeah.
Imagine you're sending a super important file, like a big project presentation.
You'd want to make sure every single slide arrived safely and in order.
Exactly. TCP is the perfect choice for that. And of course, it's the protocol behind HTTPS, making sure your online banking and other sensitive transactions are shielded from any eavesdroppers.
So it's all about choosing the right tool for the job, just like in the physical world. This deep dive has been awesome. We've gone from these kind of mysterious acronyms, TCP and UDP, to understanding how they really shape our online experience.
It's like we've peeled back the layers of the internet,
Right.
revealed this hidden language that makes everything work.
Exactly. And what's so cool is you don't have to be a tech whiz to appreciate this stuff. Next time you're streaming a movie, just picture UDP zipping data packets across the internet to bring you that seamless playback.
It's really amazing when you think about it.
It is. Or, when you're sending an important email, think about TCP carefully ensuring every single bit of information reaches its destination.
It really gives you a new appreciation for all those invisible forces that connect us all.
Absolutely. And you know what? This has definitely given me a whole new perspective on the internet. It's not just this magical black box anymore. I can actually picture all this intricate action happening behind the scenes.
And that's the beauty of understanding these fundamental protocols. It transforms the internet from something passive and invisible into this dynamic, interconnected world that you can actively be a part of.
Well said. This has been an awesome journey into the world of internet protocols. Until next time, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of technology.